Good morning, students. Today we are going to take part B of this chapter, Sources of Business Finance, where we'll be dealing with various components of finance which is used for short-term financing. As you could see, short-term finance are required primarily to meet the working capital requirement. The focus is to maintain liquidity at a reasonable cost. So we can say in a way it is synonymous to looking for working capital requirement, as you could see in the image also. Now working capital, if you see, it circulates with your receivables which are convertible into cash. Cash is required to get the raw material inventory. Raw material is processed to finish goods, then receivable, and so on. It moves in a circular manner. So it is this way the entire fund circulates. Next, we'll see what are the various components if we move clockwise. Trade credit, factoring, lease financing, public deposit, commercial paper, and intercorporate deposit. We'll be doing it, but for this session of 2021, this ICD is deleted. Let us take first trade credit. As you could see, it's a deal in between two parties. I have renewed the plumbing in your house. You can repay in or with 3 liters of milk per day for 3 months. Okay, and it's an agreement. There's a deal in between the two parties. This is a simplest form of understanding trade credit. Now it moves in detail that trade credit is extended by one trader to another for the purchase of goods and services. When the creditor grants such a facility, they are in fact financing purchase for a short term. So, let us see the merits of it. First, it's a very convenient source of financing because it is a deal in between two parties who are there on the trading. Then, it is readily available. There is increased sales because of this liquidity process, helps in maintaining higher inventory level, and there's no charge on the asset. That is the biggest benefit. Then the limitation is, obviously when you are getting something very easily, the chances of over trading may take place. That means you are trading more than what is required. Limited fund can only be generated, and it's higher cost by charging high price because it's a distress sale in certain cases. So higher cost goes. This is one part. Trade credit in between two traders as a mutual understanding on the deal. Next come down factoring. Factor is an agent or a system or an institution. And we believe in between buyer and seller, whenever there is a transaction going, credit sales also takes place. Now, when the credit sales is taking place, you would have bill receivable as well as bill payable. Now, if an organization is focusing its time on retrieving the money from the market, you cannot focus on your business. So what they do is they hire a factor agent. They hire a factor agent who takes this responsibility of collecting money for you and making payment for you, both the ways. It's not only that the collection part I'll take and then payment part I'll not. Both bill receivable, bill payable. So here what happens, what you could see, seller and buyer sending goods, raising invoice, paying factor, chasing part. This part is done by the factor, and value for the invoices. So normally what happens? You are selling your invoices to a factoring company. It takes a fee, gives you cash flow, and chases your debt. Now the question comes, why at all should a factor do this? And how it is beneficial to him? How it is beneficial to him or to the institution which is a factoring agent? The operators are limited in market. I might have bill receivable of one company and bill payable of other company, right? So what happens? It's a mutual compensation in terms of a factor that A's bill receivable could be a bill payable for C, and both the parties are with me. So the work is done in my office itself. Let us see in detail. It's an organization as a service provider providing specialization in collection and administration of debt. A factor may be an individual or an institution. Debt collection and credit management is a difficult process for the organization, and it will take a long period of time. In such case, this duty may be entrusted to an agency called as factoring organization. They are specializing in collection and administration of debt. They extend financial advance assistance in the form of advances against book debts and give full protection against bad debts. Factors do the service in return of a commission and interest on advance granted. Now, let us see what are the services rendered by the factor. First is discounting of bill and collection of the client's debt. The way you do in your accounts, discounting of bill. If somebody is paying beforehand, you get discount. And they have this facility that they can go for discounting of bill. Here, accounts receivable are sold to the factor at a discount with or without recourse, and they assume the risk. Example, SBI factor, commercial services, Can Bank factor, and so on. Now, this factoring could be of two types, recourse and non-recourse. In recourse, what happens? There is no protection offered to the client on bad debts. No protection. That means I'm taking all the necessary legal steps to retrieve your money. But if you are not getting, I'm not responsible for the bad debts. And in non-recourse, factor assumes the entire risk. That is, in case if there is a bad debt, you will not be affected as a organization. Factor will assume that risk. And then is providing information or credit worthiness. Since this factor agencies are dealing in market, they have a better idea about the financial viability of a organization. So they are a credit rating agency also. They rate you as to whether your bills are going to bounce or they are being honored in time. So they are providing information regarding this. And we could see in recourse how it works. Recourse factoring is sale by a company to a factor at a discount and then entity selling invoice to the client, not taking any risk on the uncollected and with the condition that they will purchase back invoices that remains uncollected. Now let us see merits and demerits of factoring. Factoring is a cheaper fund than other sources. Instant cash flow enables the client to settle his liabilities in time. It provides security for the debts, no charge on the asset of the company, and the client can concentrate on the core area. This is the biggest benefit. You are focusing on your business, not on retrieving money which is blocked in the market. And limitations, if we see, it is expensive, on invoices of small amount, because they are charging on invoices irrespective of amount. So it becomes expensive if your amount is small. Interest charged by the factor on advance may be higher, and customers may not feel comfortable while dealing with a third party factor. Maybe when I am dealing with a direct party with whom I have taken money, I can explain my situation. But for outsiders, I might not be comfortable. And after all, a factor agent is an outsider. From there, my entity, my reputation can be hampered. Now, next is lease agreement. As you could see, two parties, lessor, lessee, getting into agreement for a leased asset, the truck that you could see, and the minimum lease payment. This is the fundamental concept. Now we'll see in lease financing. Nowadays, it has been treated as an important source of long-term financing also. It is an arrangement under which company acquires right to use an asset without holding its title. I'm not a owner. The owner of the asset is called lessor and the user is lessee. The lessor has to pay lease rent to the lessor for the use of the asset at the end of the lease agreement. The asset reverts to the lessor, who is a legal owner. Now I have used the word long-term financing and I'm saying it in short term. I'm contradicting myself, isn't it? It is only because lease finance can be renewed. I took it for maybe short term, I can renew it annually. Owns it. I'm sorry, that part is being cut off. He never owns it, so he is not, he's least bothered about it. Now, next is public deposits. What is this? It is also as a short-term medium overlapping by which companies may try to invite deposit from public at higher rate of interest. They are issued for a period of 3 years. The acceptance of public deposit by the companies is regulated by RBI. Merits, less formality, no security is given by the company, no sharing of control, no charge on the asset. Right? Limitations, it's not easy for a new company to opt for this. Only companies which have a proven track record, they are blue chip companies, will get good reputation response. Then unreliable source, so poor response from the investors, and limited funds. Raising large fund is not possible through this. Now, this will hang over even in 12th with this topic, commercial paper. Commercial paper, it's an unsecured promissory note issued by companies of good reputation. Now see to it, this is the point to be taken care of. Either of the two factor has to be heavy or stable. Either your instrument should be secured or your company should be of good reputation. Then only it will work out in market. Otherwise, if both are weak and feeble, it will not move. If both are stable, then it's unnecessarily, I'll say, overburden yourself for a petty amount. So here companies have good reputation, but the instrument is unsecured. Now, let us see. It is an unsecured promissory note issued by the public with a maturity period ranging from 90 days to 1 year. Issuing commercial paper in India as a money market instrument took place in 1989-90. Since it is being unsecured, it is issued by highly reputed corporate entities. Commercial bank companies and mutual funds contribute towards this kind of instrument. It is also regulated by RBI. It is a money market instrument. This part we'll be doing in 12th. We have capital market, money market. So right now you have to only understand commercial paper is a money market instrument. Now if you see the merit of commercial paper, first, no restricted conditions since it is unsecured. So it has no restrictive conditions. Highly liquid, freely transferable by endorsement. It's economical. Cost of raising fund is cheaper than a bank loan. It is a continuous source. For repayment of commercial paper can be made by issuing new commercial papers. And investment of excess funds. Companies can keep their excess, the parking of fund, can keep their excess fund in commercial paper to earn more return. Now normally one thing which I have not written over here, we'll be doing in 12th also, this money is used or commercial paper is used for bridge financing or meeting the flotation cost or working capital requirement. That is the purpose of it. Now limitations, if we see, only sound companies can issue it, limited funds can be raised through it, and it's an impersonal financing. Extension of maturity period is not possible in case of difficulties. Now, this part is not in your syllabus. This is not in your syllabus, but still, as a mark of understanding, I've only taken the minimum of it. I'm not going into detail of merit, demerit, but for this session, 2021, this will not be asked. It's a deposit made by one company to another. It's called as intercorporate deposit. It is generally for working capital funding and is for a period not exceeding 6 months, not extending 6 months. Now with this, we have taken care of almost all the factors for your 11th syllabus. Still, if there is a query, towards November, December, we'll be taking up sessions on question answer and doubt, where I'll be coming live for clarification. Thank you. Stay tuned with us for the next, where we'll be dealing with shares. God bless you all.